What's up guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another comic review. This is for issue 16 of Bloodborne, The Veil Torn Asunder. Now unfortunately this is actually the last issue in what seems to be the whole series. I don't know if we're going to be getting any more Bloodborne comics in the future. Definitely not in this series it seems, because I have spoke to the guys who made it on Twitter and they seem to say it was the last one. So for now anyway, this is the last issue in the Bloodborne comic series by Titan Comics. So this is part 4 or issue 16 of The Veil Torn Asunder. So this is the wrap up of that whole story arc. Once again it's done by Kurt Kowalski and Simpson, and I want to give a big thank you to those guys because they're all across the board. It's been awesome. The writing, the art and the colouring, it's just been like really cool and different throughout each of the different story arcs. So keep up the good work. I'm going to stay tuned for what you guys are doing in the future, and there's a lot of other series that you've already done that I need to check out myself. So before we get into the review, I'm going to show you one last time each of the variant covers for issue 16. So starting with cover A, this is the primary cover, and what we have here is, I think that's Dark Beast Paul, which is one of the bosses in the game. Really awesome boss. It's like an electric wolf beast, so yeah, I love the green colours on it as well. It's mostly in the game it's like a blue hue, but over in this image here it's a bit more green, and it's got some blood dripping on there. There's a lot of great detail in there, so this is a great cover. And this is cover B. Now this depicts one of the stages in the later parts of the game. It's a really beautiful field full of flowers, and you come across this guy here you have a really dramatic fight with, and yeah, it's just a really badass cover. And with this being like the last issue of the series, I guess it's only right we get to see some things from the end of the game. So yeah, it's a really cool cover, this one, and yeah, makes me want to play the game again. And last but not least is the final one, cover C. Now this one is another one of the mirror shots which we've seen in each of the issues of this series, and this one I think that might be one of the Hemlock Witches. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it looks like some creepy hooded figure with 4 arms trying to creep through the mirror, and it has on its hood it actually looks like it has teeth. It's a really cool image. And I'm pretty sure that might be one of the Witches of Hemlock, which is one of the bosses in the earlier parts of the game. If I was to pick one of those three, I'd probably go with the primary cover for the Dark Beast Paws, because I love the colours on it. Now this is quite a late review. I've had the issue for, well, since it came out really, so it's been a couple of weeks now, and I just haven't had the chance to make the video because I've barely been at home. So excuses out of the way. I'm going to try and do my best to review it because, like I said, I did read it when it came out, so it's been a couple of weeks now, so I just have my notes here to reflect on. So this issue starts off pretty much at the end of the last one, where the Traveller is in a padded cell and we don't know what's going to happen to him or whereabouts he actually is in Yharnam. And what I loved about the intro to this is it actually reminded me a lot of the movie In the Mouthful of Madness by John Carpenter, because he's in the cell and he's claiming he's not crazy, but he's obviously seen some shit and gone through some stuff. So from the outside looking in, you would think this guy was probably insane. We get an outside shot of the asylum here, and I'm not sure if this is actually part of the game or if this is a whole new area, or if whether it's in Yharnam at all, because I don't think we've seen anything like that in the game. So it's nice to see out there adding into some newer locations, or locations that we haven't seen in Yharnam, and fleshing out some of the size of the city that we've never actually looked at in the game. In the cell, the Traveller is having lots of visions of things from his past, of these nightmares that's been haunting him, and one of them, it focuses on one of the beings from the dream, in which he's in like a battlefield of all these worn, torn corpses all over the place, and we see one of the soldiers and it's pointing in a direction while its face is all like melting away, and it looks really badass. I'm not sure if it was a 2-page spread or if it's just 1 page, but equally it's really awesome. There was another bit where you see all these stacked up dead bodies, and they're actually forming the shape of what seems to be like a weeping woman, and that's a really cool thing. I wish we'd see some more of the psychedelic things like that in the game, but it looked really awesome, and it reminded me of something you might see in a Silent Hill game. I feel like this one is as much about like the city of Bloodborne and the insanity than it is about like PTSD. This Traveller was a soldier in the war, and it seems like a lot of the things, even though he's seen these monsters and things, a lot of the things from his past are still haunting him that have nothing to do with the supernatural. The elephant in the room in this issue is the 2-page spread with this giant pink red blob monster under the city sewers of Yharnam. Now we never see this in the game, so this could be a complete unique creation, and what I like about it is that it's very ambiguous about what it actually is and the story behind it. We're obviously supposed to assume it has something to do with the sickness and the blood and the ashen blood disease. I kind of like it that they kept it ambiguous, and that's also one of the things about this story that is bittersweet, because it goes into some things that we want to see, but it doesn't fully go there as in we have a concrete answer about what's going on, and that's one of the things about Bloodborne that is really interesting. We all have our own interpretations about where it came from and what actually happened. And this was cemented in the dialogue in this scene, where we have one bubble that says, do you want to know the truth about the old ones? And then in the next one it says, or do you want me to tell you a story? And obviously we're getting the story side, so as much as I want to know about these old things, do we really want it fully answered? I guess it left it up for us to use our imagination. And obviously one of the first things I thought about when I saw this two-page shred was, it reminded me of Ghostbusters 2, when they go into the sewers and there's the big like cavernous red goo just going everywhere, and that was just the first thing that I picked up. There seems to be a lot of cues from other like films in here. If it's maybe it's just me just latching onto them, but yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things that I see as references to other movies or other mediums, and yeah, Ghostbusters 2, that's what it reminded me of. We really dive into the surreal in this one, where we have another two-page spread. There is a lot of them in this comics, and we see what seems to be the Traveller just diving into what seems to be this giant mountainous hellscape. Now I think that's probably supposed to be an indicator of his psyche just breaking and going into whatever the influence from the Yharnam disease or the old ones is, and the way they describe it in this is that it's a giant like mountainous hellscape. That's only one way I can say it. It's just fiery red, all these mountains in the sky, and it seems huge, and he's just diving straight into, completely naked of course as well. There are a few mutilation scenes in this comic as well, which I'm a sucker for the gore. The gore has always been my favourite part about this comic series, and it's just really, really gnarly, but I loved it, so I don't want to go into too many spoilers about what actually happens or what you see, but yeah, it looked really cool. Now the main stinger at the end of this issue is about, I guess, where it all takes place in the time frame. I've talked about this a lot in this one and the previous story about you don't really know where things are in time, and I suppose you do get sort of an answer in this about how things turn out and where the events that the Traveller has been seeing take place in like the narrative structure. And I thought that was one of the coolest parts of this issue, is that was it all a premonition of the future, or is this a parallel universe? And we do get to see an answer. I think my interpretation is that a lot of this series, the Veil Torn Asunder, is the guy seeing a possible future, and I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but it did also remind me of the climax of In the Mouth of Madness. As I flicked over to the last page, I was expecting to see another coming soon about what's there, so I didn't have a clue if there was going to be a continuation or not. I'm in two minds about whether I wish it would have continued, because in the previous issue they went into sort of connecting all of the other comic series together into one, and it's quite sad that we're probably not going to see any more of that connective tissue work together again. I do hope we see some more Bloodborne comics in the future, whether it's by a different company or different artists or stuff, but if it's anywhere near as good as the stuff I've been seeing in this one, then yeah, bring it on. So that's been my review. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed reading them all the way through, watching these videos, because I've been doing it for, like I said, 16 months I guess I've been making these videos, and yeah, like I said, I'm sad to see it end, but I hope you've got some enjoyment out of watching me review them, and if you haven't checked them out yourself, you've got like some instinct about what they're about and if you might enjoy them. So I do highly recommend them, and you'll be able to pick all four of them up in a trade paperback version eventually, and hopefully there's like one big collection too, because I would pick that up. I do have all the variant covers, so I'm a bit of a sucker for Bloodborne stuff. But yeah, this has been my final review of the Bloodborne comic series, so thank you all for sticking around. I do have lots more comics and stuff that I do want to talk about. I do have the omnibus of the Dark Souls one, which I've never read. I'm also doing an Alien comic review on the channel as well, for the William Gibson script for Alien 3. I won't go into too much about what I'm doing, but anyways, thank you all for watching. Let me know down below in your comments what you thought about this issue and this comic series as a whole, and where would you like to see it go if it was to continue, whether now or in the future. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.